Oliver never imagined that his life could change so profoundly in a single, unexpected moment. A young man of 22, he had spent his days working in a small cafe in his hometown, pouring endless cups of coffee for customers who rarely knew his name. His life was defined by routine and a gnawing sense that something within him was waiting to be set free. But what? He tried to ignore it, to push away the soft whispers inside him, but they only grew louder as time went on. They grew loudest, though, on the quiet nights when he was alone, and that's when he'd catch himself imagining how it would feel to wear a dress, to let go of the constraints that bound him so tightly, and to truly embrace a side of himself he could never show anyone else. He never told a soul. How could he? His family was kind but traditional, and his friends, well, he didn't really have friends he could trust with something this personal. So he kept it all locked away, hoping one day he might find the courage to be true to himself. One chilly autumn day, Oliver wandered into a new boutique that had opened up near the cafe. It was an odd little shop, squeezed between a bakery and a hardware store, with a faded sign that read Mariana's Tailoring and Gifts. The shop window was filled with intricate dresses, elegant suits, and colorful scarves. Something about it drew him in. The interior was quaint and cozy, with bolts of fabric stacked along one wall, a large wooden counter, and a faint scent of lavender. A woman, perhaps in her 60s, sat at a sewing machine behind the counter. She looked up when he entered, her eyes bright and warm. "Hello there," she greeted with a smile. "Welcome to Mariana's. I don't see many young folks around here." Oliver felt a blush creeping into his cheeks. I just wanted to look around." "Of course," she said, and returned to her sewing. He wandered through the racks, his fingers brushing over the soft fabrics. Dresses in every color hung around him, their skirts flowing and delicate. There were elegant evening gowns, simple day dresses, and skirts that swayed with the lightest touch. He couldn't resist admiring them, imagining himself wearing them, feeling the soft fabric against his skin. After a few minutes, Mariana appeared at his side, surprising him. "You have a good eye," she said, glancing at the dresses he was admiring. "Oh, they're beautiful," he stammered, hoping she wouldn't see through him. "Thank you," she replied. She watched him for a moment, and Oliver felt an odd sense that she could see right through him. After a pause, she spoke again. "You know, there's something special about clothes. They're not just fabric and stitches. They're like a second skin, helping us express who we are. Sometimes, they even help us find out who we're meant to be." Oliver looked at her, uncertain if she was trying to tell him something. I suppose that's true." She nodded knowingly. "Do you like dresses, dear?" The question struck him with such force that he almost stumbled backward. His cheeks flushed, and he looked down, unable to meet her gaze. "It's all right," she said gently. "I've seen many people who come in here, lost and unsure. You wouldn't be the first." He looked up at her, and something in her warm smile made him feel safe. I don't know," he said softly. "I think I do. But I can't." "Why not?" she interrupted. Her tone was gentle, encouraging. "Because it's complicated. People wouldn't understand." Mariana sighed, her expression softening. "Sometimes the world can be cruel, but sometimes all it takes is one person to help you see yourself in a new light. Would you like to try one on?" His heart leaped into his throat. I don't know if..." "It's just fabric," she said with a reassuring smile. "And it's just you and me here. No one will know, unless you want them to." Oliver hesitated, feeling the weight of his fears pressing down on him. But a part of him, the part that had longed for this moment, was screaming to be set free. He swallowed hard, then nodded. Mariana led him to a small dressing room at the back of the shop. She selected a simple blue dress from the rack, one with a flowing skirt and delicate lace along the neckline. "Here," she said, handing it to him. "Take your time." He took the dress with trembling hands and stepped into the dressing room, closing the door behind him. For a moment, he just stood there, staring at the dress in his hands. This was it, the moment he'd dreamed of for so long. Slowly, He took off his clothes and slipped into the dress. The fabric was cool against his skin, soft and light. He looked in the mirror, barely recognizing the person staring back at him. The dress hugged his frame perfectly, the skirt brushing against his legs in a way that felt right. A small, hesitant smile tugged at his lips. "How does it feel?" Mariana's voice came from the other side of the door. He opened the door a crack and saw her standing there, her eyes twinkling with kindness. "It feels wonderful," she smiled. "Then perhaps this dress was meant for you." He spent a few minutes admiring himself in the mirror, feeling a sense of peace and joy he hadn't known before. But then, as the initial euphoria began to fade, doubt crept back in. He couldn't wear this outside, couldn't let anyone else see him like this. Mariana seemed to sense his unease. "What's troubling you, dear?" "I can't wear this, not out there," he said, glancing at the door. "People will laugh, or worse. I can't let anyone see me like this." She reached out, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Sometimes, the world isn't ready for us. But that doesn't mean we have to hide ourselves forever. Maybe you need a little help." He looked at her, confused. "Helps?" Mariana walked over to a small shelf and pulled down an intricately carved wooden box. She opened it, revealing a small, shimmering pendant on a silver chain. "This," she said, holding up the pendant, "is a gift. It's enchanted." Oliver raised an eyebrow, not sure if he believed her. "Enchanted?" "Yes," she replied with a serious nod. "This pendant has the power to make people see what you want them to see. If you wear it, you can be whoever you wish. When you look in the mirror, you'll see yourself as you truly are. And when others look at you, they'll see what you want them to see." He took the pendant from her, staring at it in awe. "You mean if I wear this, people won't?" "They won't see anything but what you want them to see," she confirmed. "This way, you can embrace who you are without fear." Oliver hesitated, a mixture of excitement and disbelief swirling inside him. "Why would you give me something like this?" She smiled gently. "Because everyone deserves to feel comfortable in their own skin. And because I can see that you have a beautiful soul, just waiting to be set free." He swallowed, tears prickling at the corners of his eyes. "Thank you," he whispered. Mariana nodded, then helped him fasten the pendant around his neck. Instantly, he felt a warmth spread through his chest, a sense of calm and confidence he hadn't known before. He looked in the mirror, and though he still saw himself, he felt different, stronger, more certain of who he was. Over the next few weeks, Oliver began to visit Mariana's shop regularly. Each time, she helped him try on new dresses, skirts, and blouses, each one making him feel more like the person he had always wanted to be. With the pendant, he found the courage to wear these clothes outside, to walk down the streets as his true self. People smiled at him, complimented his style, and treated him with the kindness and respect he had always craved. He was finally free to be himself, to embrace the beauty within him without fear. As time went on, he no longer needed to wear the pendant every day. The confidence it had given him had become a part of him, and he knew that he could face the world as his true self, no matter what others thought. And every time he looked in the mirror, he saw a reflection of someone he was proud of. Oliver's journey with Mariana's magical pendant had only just begun, and each day revealed new layers of his identity and courage. The sense of freedom he felt when wearing the pendant was indescribable, but it was also an experience that grew more nuanced as he found himself embracing who he was, both with and without the enchanted accessory. Several weeks passed, and his closet transformed, now holding skirts, dresses, and blouses he had lovingly picked out during his visits to Mariana's shop. Each item held a special story, a memory of discovery or joy that had lifted his heart a little more each time. These clothes were now more than garments. They were symbols of liberation. And yet, wearing them in the outside world, without the pendant, still felt daunting. One chilly Sunday afternoon, Oliver was in the shop again, admiring a crimson skirt with intricate floral embroidery along its hemline. The way it flared out, almost floating when he spun, made him smile with a childlike joy he hadn't felt in years. Mariana observed him with a soft smile, her hands busy with her sewing. "That one suits you. The color brings out your spirit," she said, nodding in approval. "I feel like myself in it," Oliver said, twirling once more before stopping, his expression clouded with a trace of self-doubt. "But do you think, will I ever feel like this without the pendants?" Mariana put down her work and approached him, her eyes filled with understanding. "The pendant is just a nudge, dear. It shows you what's already within you. It doesn't create anything that isn't already there. Every time you wear it, you're building the courage to let that person out for the world to see, one step at a time." Her words sank in deeply, filling Oliver with a renewed sense of hope. Still, he couldn't deny the fear of judgment that lingered. But the idea of stepping out without the pendant began to feel like a goal, a challenge he could someday conquer. After a few more minutes of browsing, Oliver decided on the crimson skirt and a blouse that matched. He paid for them, thanked Mariana, and headed home, feeling his heart lift a little more with every step. Later that evening, he found himself staring at the crimson skirt hanging on his closet door. Without thinking much, he slipped it on and paired it with a simple sweater. He stood in front of his bedroom mirror, looking at his reflection, and a feeling of warmth spread through him. Even without the pendant, he could feel the familiar confidence growing. That night, as he sat in his room, an idea began to form. What if he ventured out without the pendant? Just a short walk, something small but significant to show himself that he didn't need magic to feel whole. The thought filled him with a rush of anxiety, but it was also tantalizing. He decided he'd try the next day. The following morning, Oliver stood in front of his mirror, taking deep breaths as he adjusted the crimson skirt. He'd carefully chosen an outfit he loved, but one that wasn't too flashy, a skirt with a soft-knit sweater and comfortable ankle boots. The familiarity of the clothes, coupled with the thought of stepping outside without the pendant, stirred a mixture of excitement and fear in him. He left the pendant on his dresser. It was a quiet morning in town. Oliver kept his gaze forward, his hands steady at his sides as he walked. The cool breeze brushed against his skirt, and he felt every nerve in his body on high alert. He expected glances, stares, maybe whispers. But as he walked past people, he realized there was none of that. In fact, people greeted him like any other day. He even passed by a friend from work who smiled at him, oblivious to any change. The world kept moving, unchanged and uninterested in what he was wearing. A wave of relief washed over him, along with a growing sense of pride. A few blocks down, he spotted a small cafe he hadn't been to before and decided to stop in for a coffee. As he waited for his drink, he caught his reflection in the cafe's window. It was him just as he was, but somehow he looked different, stronger, more vibrant. "Nice skirt," a voice behind him said. He turned to see a young woman smiling warmly. She looked genuinely appreciative, not critical or sarcastic. "Oh, thank you," he stammered, feeling his cheeks warm. "No problem. Love your style," she added before walking off with her coffee. A small, disbelieving smile spread across his face as he took his own coffee and left. That simple compliment felt like a turning point, a confirmation that he could, in fact, be himself openly. He walked home feeling like he was on top of the world. When Oliver returned to Mariana's shop that week, he could barely contain his excitement as he told her about his day without the pendant. She listened, nodding in approval, her warm gaze filled with pride. "I knew you had it in you," she said, her eyes twinkling with affection. "The pendant was never meant to keep you hidden. It was just there to show you that you could be seen." He spent the rest of the afternoon in the shop, trying on new clothes and chatting with Mariana. Each outfit he tried felt like another step closer to being fully free. As they spoke, Mariana shared stories about the people she had helped over the years, each one unique, each one overcoming struggles of their own. Some, she said, had found courage with a magical gift like Oliver's pendant, while others had discovered their strength in different ways. "Sometimes," she said, her voice soft with nostalgia, "all we need is a reminder that we're worth being seen." Her words resonated deeply with him. He knew that the journey he had started was far from over. There would still be challenges, still moments of doubt and fear. But he also knew he wouldn't be facing them alone. He had Mariana, a guiding light in his life, and he had the strength within himself that he could finally recognize. The seasons changed, and with each passing month, Oliver grew more confident, more sure of himself. He became more comfortable stepping out as his true self, exploring styles and expressions that felt authentic. His wardrobe grew bolder, and so did his spirit. He no longer needed the pendant, though he kept it as a treasured reminder of his journey. One day, he walked into the shop to find Mariana packing up several boxes. He froze, his heart sinking at the sight. Are you closing?" he asked, unable to hide the worry in his voice. Mariana looked up and gave him a reassuring smile. "Oh no, dear. Just moving. I have a family member who needs some help out in the countryside. I'll be setting up a new shop there, but it's time to pass this one on to someone who can carry on its spirit." The news saddened him, but he understood. "I'll miss you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You've done so much for me." Mariana placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "And you've done so much for yourself, Oliver. Remember, the magic isn't in a pendant or a shop. It's in you. You are your own gift." A few weeks later, after an emotional farewell, Mariana moved away, leaving Oliver with her words and a shop full of memories. But the spirit of Mariana's shop stayed with him, a reminder of all he had learned and become. With her departure, Oliver felt the responsibility to pay her kindness forward. He began connecting with local groups and online communities, eventually finding spaces where he could encourage others who were on similar journeys. He shared his own story, his struggles, and his triumphs, hoping to inspire others as Mariana had inspired him. Years passed, and Oliver grew into a beacon of courage and authenticity. Every time he looked in the mirror, he saw the reflection of someone who had faced their fears and embraced their truth. And though he still kept the pendant tucked safely away, it was no longer the source of his strength. It was merely a reminder of the day he had met a kind tailor who had shown him the magic he held within. He became known in the community for his warmth, his style, and his unwavering authenticity. Friends, family, and even strangers would compliment him, not just for his clothes, but for the light he carried. And in those moments, he would remember Mariana's words, a whisper of encouragement that followed him wherever he went. "You are your own gift." And indeed, he was. Thank you so much for watching till now. It means the world to have you here. This community is all about empowering each other and celebrating the incredible journeys of everyone on their path to living authentically. If you're ever feeling lost or alone, remember you have a whole family here for you. Hit that subscribe button. Smash that like button. And let's keep inspiring each other, sending you all the love and strength in the world. Until next time, live your life by your rules.